What's up, Foxbody rehab fans? Hey, Merry Christmas, man. Hope you guys had a good one. Hope you got everything you wanted. Hope your Mustang got a few presents. Hopefully your Foxbody got little decked out. Maybe you got some of those little model cars, the die-casts or the Hot Wheels. Man, there's some really cool stuff being sold at Walmart lately. Right, Sash? Yep. Okay, today, Project Myrtle. So it's the Sunday after Christmas, and all through the shop, not a creature was stirring, except this little rascal. Anyway, what are we doing here? Okay, well, much to the opposite of how I grew up. Normally I'm used to just throwing used parts on stuff and rocking on down the road, but no, this time the money was spent. Money was spent on the O2 hard to find off-road H-pipes. God knows they've cracked down on that. Thank you, EPA. Thank you, Diesel Boys. And then a Flowmaster cap back with the tips, of course, for the Cobra rear bumper cover. Now, what am I doing here? Well, I went to put this dang H-pipe together, and I tell you, I struggled with it back and forth and left and right and up and down, and I just felt like I was, brand new again. But hey, every now and then, some of the simplest stuff decides to just whoop my butt. And what are my problems am I having? Okay, look. So this is a kit that's made for long tubes or shorties, kind of cobbled together as you see fit, and they give you these clamps, which all in all, they work all right. Like this one, for instance. It clamped down well. It sealed the pipe off. I'm happy with it. Plenty of room away from the cross member. And this one, wow. All right, so maybe I did something wrong, right? Maybe I didn't clock this pipe right. Who knows? Well, I do, because I spent several hours playing with it, much to my chagrin. And it sits super close here. Well, I started looking at it, thinking maybe I got another problem. And I looked at the motor mounts. Well, that one looked all right, not too terribly bad. This one looks a little crushed. And although I was pretty sure I put new motor mounts on this thing when I built it, I don't know, 2 years ago, believe it or not, my memory isn't that great. So there's a chance I could have made a mistake there. So giving the vehicle the benefit of the doubt and the H-pipe the benefit of the doubt, I'm going to go ahead and put new motor mounts in it. And this is pretty important to a lot of you folks, because heck, a lot of you guys are rocking motor mounts from God only knows back when. And it does make a difference, okay? It makes the transmission sit cockeyed. It makes, there's a lot of adverse effects. The cooling fan could go into the shroud if they're really bad. I mean, there's a bunch of different stuff. And it just gives an overall more solid feel when you have new mounts, I did the transmission mount already. That one's new. So I decided I'm gonna just say heck with it, get some more ordered up, get the job done. Now, what does that look like? Well, here we got the most impressive, expensive motor mounts known to man. Race mounts, they call them, obviously. That's not true. Don't believe anything I'm saying. What we have is that we have the main mount itself, which we'll have to take the bracket, the mount off of the motor and the other mount, and then swap them over to this piece. And then we'll be putting these on. These come left and right. I've marked out one left, which isn't really necessary considering they kind of go one way. You can see the differences. The stud is up top on this one and down low on this one. This part number here signifies the left hand or driver's side, and then that's going to be right hand or passenger side. Now, I do have a lift, and that's pretty cool, right? But I'm not really going to use it for much. I'm going to disconnect the motor mount from the bottom so that I have those bolts up there. There's one there, and there is another, most obvious there. And then you have the oh so fun main one right there. That's this dude right there. Okay, so I'm going to take off all the bolts while the engine is sitting in place on top of the mounts. And then luckily for me, when I put this together, it's mainly a stock motor. Built it for reliability, not for outright power, more of a cruiser. But what I'm going to do is once I bring this down here, I'm going to go ahead and hook up my engine hoist to the original mounts that are still on there to extract the motor and install the engine. So I'm going to go ahead and lift it up just enough to give me access. And this also works for oil pan. So if you need access to your oil pan, if you need to do a gasket, if you're leaking on the driveway, mom's yelling at you, whatever the case may be, this will also give you enough room to be able to extract the oil pan from the car and then kind of fish it out there too. Now, I'm not doing that here because that's already been done. That's a brand new oil pump, low volume, the only one you want, and brand new gasket, the blue all the way around there, torqued down like it's supposed to be. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and start by taking the main bolts off here that hold on the motor mount to the car. Okay, I'm going to take those off, and then I'm going to take the actual motor mount bolt off itself, and then we'll be ready to lift the motor and swap the parts and then stick it back in there. So stay tuned. All right, that's what we got. This is what we got here. Okay, so what we've got is we've got the 2 times 2 engine or motor mounts that secures the actual mount plate to the car, and then we've got to the motor, and then we've got the actual motor mount bolts that secure the motor mounts to the car. So what do we got here? We've got a bad boy 5/8 is perfect, works great. I'm sure it's metric, but 5/8 grabs enough, didn't hurt the bolts. Look at this, haters, look, no rounded edges, nothing harsh. Yeah, a little bit. Oh well, you know, it's off. And then you've got the larger ones for the motor mount itself, which is going to be, let's see here, with my blind self. Oh, there we go, 17 mil. All right, so 17 millimeter metric will remove this nut from the mount itself. Do a little test fit. Sometimes I get unlucky and find out that there's different thread pitches and stuff on stuff. Yeah, perfect. All right. Those nuts will be on the mount itself, which we'll pull off as soon as we get this lifted. So currently right now what we've got is we've got the, excuse me while I get in my comfy chair. All right. Being a tall guy, it makes it tough, man, to get underneath and stand, even on a lift. All right, so we've got these holes. In the dark, we got those holes. Those are all taken off. Plus, we've got the actual motor mount nuts itself that go obviously right there with the threaded portion. Now, what do we do? Oh, shoot. Forgot a couple of bolts. Should probably get that on there so I don't rattle. That's what's nice about being under here. You get to go over everything a few 100,000 times, you know. Great. All right, so next up on the agenda, we are going to lift up the motor. So I've got to make some room because, well, the engine hoist is in there holding the K member for that car. So it's going to take me a minute to rearrange the shop, as is typical with any job that I do. 10% is spent on the actual job, 90% is spent chasing down materials, parts, whatever there may be that requires the job to be completed. That's the life I like of frustration. Hate things nice and easy. So anyway, wish me luck, guys. I'm about to tear into this. So I'll show you a quick pic here in just a second when I'm able to get it up in the, get the hoist in front of it. And then I can snatch on very easily to the actual mount plates for the extraction and should just be able to pick straight up. Now I'm going to go over the entire bay to make sure that while I'm picking up, I'm not hurting anything. For instance, a fan. Probably just go ahead and take the fan off, get that out of the way so that it's not a concern, so that it doesn't hit anything else upon extraction. So I'll take that off, and I believe that's probably going to be it. I'm going to check the firewall because I don't expect her to lift straight up, of course. Got a transmission, and transmission's mounted. So she's going to pick up heavy in the nose, which is okay, except I've got very little room to play with before it impacts firewall for things like the salt and pepper shakers and some of the other electronics and whatnot back there. So wish me luck. I'm going to dig out the engine hoist, and then I'm going to make sure that I'm prepared to lift without causing any damage to anything. All right, guys, next step. All right, plugging right along. So shout out to Grip Mat. These things are dope. They're kind of bendy and they kind of stick and don't slide around, which is kind of cool. Shout out to my mom. Thanks, Mom. That's a heck of a good Christmas gift. So you can literally just throw them around, throw your stuff in there, which I like. Okay, back to work. So anyway, I disconnected that fan down there. And after looking at it, looks like I probably need to replace it and the shroud because it's got a break on the bottom of it. And I've looked around it. So basically going around the motor, I'm trying to do as little as possible, and luckily for me, I think that I only have to lift just about 1.5 inches maybe in order to be able to gain complete access to the mount. And the way I'm planning on doing it is obviously when I lift, the motor is going to separate from the actual the motor mount. Okay, so the motor is going to lift up. The motor mount ideally should stay in place in the K member. And if that happens, then that means I can be able to fold it over and then extract it out of there. So that's the goal. Anyway, I'm confident with the remainder of the components that I have installed. I'll probably take off the air inlet tube just to give me a little extra. Got some slack in the lines here, the heater core lines, so definitely don't want to break or bend any of those components. God knows. I've already done all that. That's all new. Definitely don't want to have to do it again. So we're going to very, very carefully lift. And like I said, luckily for me, oh no, this is not luckily. This isn't luckily anymore. I forgot. I did headers. So by putting on the BBKs, I got away with those god dang mounts to make my life Cadillac. Oh, dang it. Man, this is pretty much how it always ends up. No biggie here. I'm just going to sling it. I'll sling it around the manifold or the header here in the front and sling it around the back there. It'll still give me a good pickup point. Like I said, I'm not coming all the way out with it. I just need to lift up. So if I can lift up, I'll be able to get the old one out, swap over the mounts onto the, or the actual base plates onto the mounts, and then reinstall. At least that's the goal here, but shoot, man, I was really excited about being able to snatch and grab on this beast. Now I got to put an extra couple of seconds into figuring out the easiest way to grab onto it. I'll probably take a strap, nylon strap, and go around it so I don't break anything. Well, guys, wish me luck. We're going to see how this works out. So I'm going to get her on down on the ground. Everything's disconnected so far. And then I'm going to hook it up somehow, some way with the old trusty hoist there. And then very slowly do a couple of test lifts just to see if I'm going to be able to make this work or not. And in the meantime, I'm going to put it all the way on the ground. I'll rest all fours down on the ground there, and then I will extract it up accordingly. And then from there, more than likely end up just laying on the ground under the car and pulling out the mounts to do the swap over. Well, guys, wish me luck. I'm about to dive into it. God, I can't believe I took those dang extraction points off. Oh well, that's that Foxbody rehab life. We like it the hard way. All right, good news. And some bad news. Good news is I got the old ones out. Relatively easy once I slung it. The bad news is I was thinking that it was just going to be a cheap kit that was going to require using the original bracket. But man, after getting them off, now I've never messed with half of a motor mount, which I consider this to be. I don't, so anyway, that's going to be that side. However, obviously you see the mounting points, and this piece is void. The original piece would be void of this snubber, this portion here, as well as these exposed studs really don't leave anywhere that I can see to easily gain access. I guess I'm supposed to blow through the rivets, perhaps, and extract the underling, but I'm not going to. That's too much. There's no reason. I mean, they make complete ready to drop in units, and that's what I'm going to insist upon. So after looking at this, no. So just to make sure everybody knows, no. These part numbers, let's get them where you don't have to look upside down. These dudes, these are from we're out of stock. So you know, I didn't order them, to be fair to me. Not that I don't make mistakes, because God knows I do, but no. So what we've learned today is, like they say in Mexico, no. All right, so we've got the motor slung. She's hanging. That's the way I did it. I took axle straps around the header tubes, front and rear, and then protected it with a couple of multi-folded terry cloth towels and slowly lifted until she gave me the room that I needed to gain access. Fortunately for me, disconnecting that fan was a saving grace. So did that in advance, and that really kind of saved us from any problems we'd have there. Plenty of flex on the heater core lines and everything associated, so she lifted okay. Just got to be really super careful. I mean, don't be a dumbass about it. You should probably be all right. So now I'm going to pause because I need some more motor mounts. Until I come up with those, stay tuned. Okay, back again. So the ones we got from we're out of stock. Looked weird to me, and instead of figuring out how to make them work, which I'm sure some of you guys will tell me in the comments, I just made it easy and went to the other place right across the street from we're out of stock, and came back with something that looks much more familiar than what it was that I started out with from the we're out of stock. And so this unit is a complete situation there. That's the whole deal. That's the one we want. So now we're going to fish these dudes back in their hole. Obviously they're marked right and left hand sided. We don't want to make that mistake. I've got this one down here, which is the right hand, also passenger side, 2726. Yep. Motor's still being supported by our old trusty engine hoist. Doing a great job there, buddy. And then now it's just a matter of finagling the little dude in there, making those work. So now we're going to do it pretty much just like we did it taking out, except the reverse. So now I'm going to get them in there, get them in the hole for the K member first, and then line it up, probably laying on my back underneath here to where I can hand thread in the screws or the bolts in there. And then from that, I can attach the bolts that hold on the motor mount to the K member. Well, guys, wish me luck again. God knows I need it. Sunday. Now it's like afternoon sometime, a job that shouldn't have taken much time, but thanks to the parts chasing, definitely prolonged this little journey a little bit. Well, anyways, guys, got to put my phone down so I can get back to work and put my hands in places that might end up causing me to lose them. All right there, Mr. Engine Hoist. I need you to be a good boy, okay? Don't kill me. Oh yeah, one little trick too is mounting the hood up to give me access. So the way that I do it is this little hole right here under the factory hood, those guys. So instead of putting the hood prop up in that vicinity where it's supposed to go, I put it into that area there, which gives me more clearance to let me freely and comfortably do things like this without making any impacts whatsoever, not getting close to anything, still plenty of room. So that's my little trick, one of my little tricks there. All right, guys, time to get back at it. Okay, after some finagling, got that dude in there. Hard to see. So to give myself some extra room, I pulled the oil filter off. Doing it from like this gives me just enough room lifting the motor up to get that thing in there. Now I've got to center it in the K-member, tighten everything up, and motor mounts are done. Foof. I'll show you some video of it from the bottom. All right, the tail end of this fiasco. Okay, well, let's get some light shine on this. So you see I haven't tightened that bolt yet that goes to the K-member itself, and there's a reason for that, because I wanted to show you that they have a couple of tabs on this, on the motor mounts that have to sink in. Let's see if I can catch this one. Barely. This one's more visible. So, okay, right there. It's kind of hidden behind that harness, but that's that little black part right below the actual nut. And that part is on the motor mount to make sure that it centers in place when it's laid in. So now that we've got the motor mount bolts centered on both sides, even where it drops into the K-member and those little tabs in, we're ready to bolt it up. And that's going to be what the final situation is going to look like. So there's the new motor mounts. Only thing that lacks them being installed is tightening down the 2 bolts, which I'm about to do now, but I think you guys can visualize what that's going to look like. So I'm going to cut the video off here. Keep in mind, this will also kind of work for the oil pan gasket if you guys need to attack those, and perhaps even for freeze plugs or anything of the sort. But this was specifically for the motor mount replacement. So right side's on right, left side's on left, and that's a completed installation. And just because I know comments are going to come in of what did you use, nothing special, just some off the parts shelf pieces. There's the part number, and there, both right and left hand facing sides. And I'm sure you know this name, not going to pimp them, but you know that comes from one of the big box shops. Out with the old. Those are the tabs in which I was speaking of. That guy right there. They actually drop into the K-member next to the hole for that. And then you can see this guy, same thing. So once those are in, and those are in, and you get them centered in the holes in the K-member, all it is left to do is just tighten it up. Well guys, thanks for watching. I hope this helps you out with your build. And stay tuned for more instructional how-tos. If you guys want to see something specific, let me know. Heck, I'm doing most of it every day anyway. Thanks for watching, guys. Foxbody Rehab. We dirty.